you eventually had enough of that and you kind of wanted to maybe get more into a nice warm office, Dan, maybe, and have a more relaxed role. So just talk us through kind of getting the role with the FA then, kind of how did that come about and what did it originally look like and has that developed over time from when you started to now?
Yeah, it's developed massively, to be honest.
Mm,
At that time, so the role became available. I was going through quite a tough time, if I'm being honest, within club. I had a little girl, so she was born and
mm,
was June, and then it was leading into COVID times when things were just I was just finding it really tough and quite a drain.
mm,
And I mean, it's in the I didn't feel I was progressing day to day.
mm.
I probably needed a change just to really kickstart my learning.
Yeah,
And then, I mean, that sounds very arrogant. I'm not saying I knew everything. I just felt I wasn't taking enough responsibility of
yeah,
my own learning at that time.
yeah.
So the opportunity came up to join the FA, and I kind of seen it as with the people you got there and the relationships that it would build with coach developers, it was almost like every single day would be a CPD day, really.
Yeah.
Uh, when I heard of the type of projects that we were working on and what we're trying to achieve, it would give me a really good opportunity to zoom in on certain parts of the game rather than constantly what are the opposition doing.
Mm,
Um, how are we going to play on Saturday? How can we support our players? It just became for me, uh, it became a lot. It
mm,
became a lot, and I wasn't growing in the way that I felt I needed to anymore. So I
yeah.
just needed a complete change of scenery. And as you can see, I'm currently stood in my bedroom here, and yeah, it's nice and warm. I've got the radiator on, and
Yeah,
so
it's not a cold
starting
Saturday or Sunday morning, is it? Like in the rain. So,
yeah,
I mean, so I know because we touched upon you kind of go out, which we will speak about it a bit more shortly in terms of going out and presenting at these different events that you go to, Dan. But what does an average week look like for you now in the role? You said you kind of do you do a bit from home and a bit into St George's Park. How does an average week look, if there is an average week, that is?
I mean, you know as well as anybody, there's no such thing as an average week, but ultimately, yeah. So we're based in St George's a couple of days a week, and then
Mm,
the rest of the time we spend working from home and like quite a hybrid working way. But the sort of purpose, I think we have to start with the purpose really,
yeah,
is to help coaches be a little bit better.
yeah,
So our role is to look at the game and say, well, what information is the game telling us? If we shine a light on certain areas, what information is the game telling us that can help us to support, first of all, it could be our coach developers who then go into club and work with coaches on a one-to-one basis,
yeah.
or support some of the courses that we deliver on, or wider across the learning landscape, whether that's online through blogs, articles, YouTube channel, whatever it is. Um, and a big thing for me as well was coming away from simply the male game and actually looking at things across to see, well, what does it look like in the female game? Because we want to develop skillful players, and that
Mm,
might look different depending on age, stage, disability, things like that.
yeah.
So that really interested me. In terms of the roles and responsibilities, then we sit within so our game insights team sit within the learning development team,
Mhm.
FA education. So our role is all about learning. How do we take these insights and package them up in a way that's going to impact different learners in different ways?
Yeah.
So we have to, at the start of a project, certainly we'll look at to understand what the learners' tasks and concerns are. So what are the real issues that coaches are facing to help us have the biggest impact? And how can we go and shine a light on some areas to really help with their knowledge? Um, it can at times be quite data heavy. So luckily, the data providers you get now are fantastic, and we spoke about it before that you just click on a piece of data and all of a sudden you've got all the videos that you need.
Yeah.
So now you can start to back up with some of that context. So that makes our job a lot easier. Sometimes we're looking at the data and how can we really interrogate it to understand what it means and what it might mean across different domains. But then we might also do some bespoke data analysis. So, for example, we can't go to a stats perform and say, okay, what does the game look like at foundation phase in the girls' game,
Yeah.
the grassroots girls' game? We can't do that.
Mm,
So we will also have little case studies along the way. So that might be one. So we've done that for the core skills when we're looking to see, how often do the core skills happen? Things like tackling, intercepting, passing.
mm,
What opportunities are players getting to perform these core skills depending on the game format they play, for example. So it could be we were comparing 3v3s with 5v5, 7v7, 11v11. So for me, this is all super exciting stuff, and great research that's really supporting. So part of the role is pretty data driven.
Yeah.
But the most important thing then is, because data alone means nothing, and there's no point in the numbers and the information sitting on our laptops, or even sitting with us as a learning and development team. It's how can we mold and shape this information into resources that are really going to help learners.
Yeah.
And again, that could, like I said there, that could be slide decks. So we put together a slide deck, which we then deliver to our coach developers who go out to clubs. But it's helping with their understanding. Okay, do they completely understand what this resource is showing,
Yeah.
and how it can be used, along with maybe some of the questions that they could pose to learners to help them recognize what that might mean for them in their context.
Yeah.
So it's to try and put into words, this is what we do on an average week. It really does change day to day, because you've got this tactics and strategies side of it.
Yeah.
We've got the coach development framework coming into play for us, which is really shaping our work. So we have the 4 pillars. We've got game, player, coaching, and self.
Yeah.
So how can we shine a light on these 4 different areas to help coaches understand more about the game? So certainly when I joined, it was very much we might do some projects. So a transition one, for example, or what does it look like when a team goes down to 10 players? What are the different tactics and things that teams put into place there? To now going, okay, yes, it's a game insight analyst, but that's not just tactics and strategies. That could be what does the match day experience look like, and how can we support coaches with that? So we've seen a lot of changes along the way, and it's been growing for us exponentially, especially with the way in which we disseminate some of this stuff, where we might go direct to our coach developers via Teams. We might put on workshops face to face. We've got a monthly webinar series, which we're heavily involved in. We've got a blog channel,
Right.
and we met at a conference recently, and we've had different workshops and conferences along the way. So yeah, it's a really varied working week, but super exciting, especially with some of the insights that we're able to pull together and give some meaning to is really valuable, I think.
Perfect. I mean, well, you mentioned the blog, which we're going to come on to in a second. What does the team look like, Dan? Who are you? How many of you are there doing what you're doing, basically?
So at present, we've got 4 Game Insights Analysts, all based at St. George's Park.
Yeah.
And I think our work's sort of becoming more ingrained within coaching courses, etc. So there's 4 of us, and we all have our own specialities, but we do generally work across the board, really.
In terms of like shaping, you mentioned you work with the coach developers. How do you decide on what you mentioned these blogs and the things that you deliver? How do you get the direction as to what to do next? Like, for example, what you're going to work on next? What's going to be the focus for the next year? How does that is that just decided between you guys, or is it meeting with the different coaches, and how does that look really?
So up until recently, it's been really varied. So some of it has been the coach development team saying, "Oh, we've noticed that people are struggling with this. Have we got any resources on it?" We'll go away, have a look. No, we haven't got anything, so let's go and do that.
Yeah.
Some of it has been a little bit of professional judgment as well.
Yeah.
So the work we've done around transition, we've got slide decks, we've got blogs, we've done webinars, and all sorts on it, has been, we recognize we haven't really got enough resources on it. So it was, let's go and delve into that and see what's interesting. And then we linked it to one of the major tournaments. And we really dove in. And that's when we realized that actually there's layers to this. So we went with a real senior game focus. So looking at the Men's World Cup from a senior game focus, how can we help people working at the top end of the game?
Yeah.
To then going, there's a lot of really cool stuff here, but some of it, like a grassroots coach taking their team on a Sunday, might not need to know 90% of that.
Yeah.
So then that's going, well, it's not that this isn't valuable, it's how can we shape this? So then what we did was we pulled in somebody who works in the grassroots game, and then they became support for the project.
Yeah.
And we just tailored the content and tailored the videos and everything to fit the grassroots space. So now all of a sudden we've taken one resource and molded it to fit, well, a much, much, much bigger audience.